What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, your Green Bay Packers podcast that is a proud partner of the Euroset Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. As always, I am your host, Numac, coming to you the Wednesday after cutdown day as the Packers trimmed their roster from 90 to 53. A lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of surprising ones, but definitely some ones that made me raise my eyebrows. And we're going to go through all of those moves, including a couple of trades and free agent signings after the cuts. To talk about with me is my lovely co-host Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm well. I'm looking forward to talking about the Green Bay
I
Packers.
thought you were going to say talk about the
If
Tundra.
I'm looking forward to talking about a Tundra, the Green Bay Packers 53-man roster, practice squad, and um, what's
Got tripped
Ricky,
up.
Ricky,
Ricky
Ricky,
Scoops.
Ricky Scoops.
We'll talk a little about Micah Parsons since I included in this collective Packers Twitter sphere was refreshing Twitter all night, Wednesday night or Tuesday night into Wednesday. So we'll talk about that later. But first, well, let's go in chronological order. Some news and notes before cutdowns. The Packers traded a 2027 sixth round pick for Eagles offensive tackle Darian Kennard, a 4-year veteran. Uh, they also released Kawan Baker, the wide receiver, in the corresponding move for that. Should come as no surprise as the Packers were a bit hesitant about their O line depth coming out of camp, knowing that like a lot of their backups they weren't too comfortable with. Um,
No.
Rob Dombrowski had this to share about what offensive line coach Luke Buckus said on August 17th. Quote, the depth right now for us, it's not where we want to be. A lot of guys have a chance that we're going to see whether they're going to step up or not. And as Rob Dombrowski said, clearly not enough guys did. So they add some depth there. I believe won 3 straight Super Bowls. I think he won 2 with the Chiefs and then 1 with the Eagles.
Correct.
So I think primarily as the rotation piece, never a starter, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but some depth for sure. And I mean, like frankly, I'm not too worried about it, just because I'm with Luke Buckus, believe it or not, that the O line depth was pretty problematic. Um, I do think there was some hubbubaloo on Twitter, and it might have just been one guy that I saw, but people were saying that like the O line is bad because the depth is bad. It's like, well, no, the O line is not bad because the depth is bad. The Packers have probably 5 linemen they can trust, probably 5.5, and most teams don't have that. Like
How many O linemen can he play?
5. So that's a good thing to have. Good thing to have
Yeah.
that number, even as big as it is. But
It's like, I mean,
I
I
think
get
I think
it.
Packers fans are, and I think I've been guilty of this too, of being like spoiled at how good the line has been forever. And so like not many teams have 5 linemen across their line that can play and are like above average like plus players. Most I would say half the league probably doesn't have 3 or 4. It's just the
Yeah.
way it is. Like they have a weak spot somewhere, and so if depth is the issue, that's not a bad thing for the line because that means the starters are good. Obviously, starter goes down, then it becomes an issue. But you don't plan for starters to go down. You just kind of plan for putting your best 5 out there, and if your best 5 are plus players, that's good. And I'd imagine Kennard is there solely for like just swing tackle guys. We'll see how it goes, but with any injury across this line, it has the line shuffled around pretty significantly, I'd say. And so I'm sure if there's an injury anywhere, he'll be uh he'll be there, especially if Aaron Banks continues to miss some time.
Yeah. We kind of talked about it on our kind of predictions of the roster cut down, but we knew that there was going to be some kind of action, whether it was a trade or whether it was working the waiver wire with the offensive line, because the results weren't there. And frankly, again, when we're talking about the depth of the offensive line, these are not going to be perfect players. They're not even going to be NFL caliber players. But by doing the numbers game, it's kind of what when we're debating the merit of the eighth or ninth man on your offensive line, like they're gonna have a lot of flaws. They're not gonna be you're not gonna be in a good position if they're playing significant snaps. But that is the game. And to your point, like we are very spoiled with offensive line talent, whether it's a Packers fan or if you're a Badgers fan, because that is the trademark for Wisconsin, that they've had strong offensive lines.
Yeah,
And the Packers themselves, I mean, this is kind of the first era where we talked about the offensive line changing over, and it's not just like, oh, it's drafting. It's like, no, they've done some drafting. They, higher picks like Jordan Morgan or Anthony Belton this year. But when we think of like even like the mid 2000s or late or early 2000s, is like finding like hidden gems like a Mike Wall, or hitting it late with Mark Tauscher, Chad Clifton. Like those weren't premium picks, but they ended up being stalwarts on the offensive line for like a decade because they just had a really good scouting department. Now it's just a lot more diversified in how they find offensive linemen that doesn't necessarily equal with how the Packers have found them in the past.
exactly, exactly. So, I mean, that's probably more than enough talk about Darren Kennard, frankly. But I think like the Lions in a
I
good spot
I
across the
double
starters.
dog Darian, yeah.
No, no. Um, and the extension we were all waiting for. Uh, Packers long snapper Matt Orzech signed a 3-year, $4.8 million extension to make him the league's third highest paid long snapper, which is a crazy.
Funny because I saw that after the fact. I was like, huh, that's interesting. And I literally forgot again that they had signed him to that extension a day later.
Yeah, I'm curious like if all long snappers just make minimum because like
Probably.
I can't imagine that's much above minimum, which is just funny in itself. So no, I have no other thoughts on Matt Orzech uh
Yeah.
getting his extension, but good for him. So, Artie, let's hop into the cut downs. Uh, Jordan, if you could do me a favor and pull up our prediction, and I want to see how many we got wrong, because I think it's like two or three, which I'm excited about. But I'll start with who the Packers
Oh.
cut. They cut quarterback Sean Clifford and Taylor Algersma, running back Israel Abanikanda, Amar Johnson, and Tyrion Davis Price. Wide receivers McCole Hardman, Julian Hicks, Cornelius Johnson, Will Shepard, and Isaiah Nair. Tight end Johnny Lumpkin and Messiah Swinson. Offensive lineman Kadeem Telfort, Trey Hill, Lasita Smith, Tyler Cooper, JJ Lippy, and Brent Banks. Defensive ends Arron Mosby and Deslin Alexandre. Defensive linemen James Esther and Devontae O'Malley. Linebackers Christian Welch, Isaiah Simmons, Jamon Johnson, and Jared Bartlett. Cornerbacks Kalen King, Corey Ballantyne, and Tyron Herring. Safeties Jonathan Baldwin, and Jalen Simpson, and special teams Mark McNamee. So, that being said, uh, players they kept of note, we'll go through here. Um, they keep only 6 wide receivers. Malik Heath is the sixth amongst the regular five, which were Golden, Reed, Dobbs, Wicks, and Savion Williams. Uh, a talking point we had on our prediction pod was how many tight ends. I said three, and I was wrong. They kept four. They keep both Ben
It's
Sims and
disgusting.
John Fitzpatrick.
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting, but and I think like this like is we should talk about it like a little bit more too. It really like makes sense given what they like to do on offense with their tight ends. Like they like Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave to be the receiving tight ends, and Ben Sims and John Fitzpatrick are definitely their jumbo guys. Like they're going eight across the line, and there's probably three tight ends in there for a goal line push.
Yeah, it was just like I would say the easily the most galaxy brain part of the roster cutdowns.
Uh,
I
I
actually, this
wouldn't
is where
call it Galaxy Brain.
was gonna say this. My initial thought seeing four tight ends beyond just like the was, oh, they're having four tight ends because there might be someone that hits the waiver wire that they'll cut bait with, which they end up doing, but not at the position that I think we would have agreed with. So the fact that they are going with four tight ends into week one is interesting. I understand the offensive like utility of it and how Matt LaFleur plays. Like they do need some kind of heft. I mean, we've seen like they try to make Josiah DeGuara kind of like this H back. Henry Pearson, for those diehards out there, he
Yeah,
had some games where he was like that. But yeah, like Luke Musgrave and Tucker Crafter will be asked to contribute as like a blocker, but Ben Sims and John Fitzpatrick are very much like meat shields.
they're also like duplicative. Like
That's
they
why I
do the
just
same thing.
that's why it feels weird that they just have.
I mean, I'm not gonna fault them. Like, I think my overarching opinion on this roster cut down is that I'm not really mad at anything. Um, the only
Hmm.
thing I'm like questioning, like kind of just like furrowing my eyebrows at or furrowing my brows at, is is keeping four over one of Aaron Mosby and Deslin Alexandre, or Kalen King for that matter. And we'll get to all those in a second. But like,
Yeah,
um, it just they might just value those players on special teams more than those other guys. Those other guys were so worth noting. We'll see how it goes further down the line if they end up staying with this team all year long, or if there's a roster move at some point where one of those guys ends up getting cut. But definitely an interesting thing to keep. Four tight ends. I mean, also you have to bring in the receivers injuries into account as well. Like at that point, like I really don't know if I want Ben Sims or John Fitzpatrick catching the ball a whole lot. Like if Kraft and Musgrave can, but like maybe that's some of the reasoning too. I can't imagine they ever go three tight ends, but in a receiving set. But who knows with Matt LaFleur and his offensive genius. So,
yeah.
um, moving on as we talk about the rest of the roster. Just to, I guess I'll go through um the guys they kept as well, just so there's no surprises. Even though I'm sure you've already seen this, listener, you studious Packer fan. Obviously kept Jordan Love and Malik Willis as their two quarterbacks. Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks get the two active roster spots for the running back. Marshawn Lloyd is headed to the IR, designated to return. He'll have to miss 4 weeks before he can play a game, and who knows if he'll be back at that week 5 would be. I think their buys week 5, so I think week 6 would be the earliest we would see him. Um, talked about receiver, talked about tight end, offensive line. Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, Elton Jenkins, Sean Ryan, Zach Tom are going to be your starters across the front, and then Jordan Morgan, Darian Kennard, Anthony Melton, and Donovan Jennings. Um, John Williams is on the PUP list to start the year. He has missed the first 6 games before being able to return. Christian Watson also on the PUP list to start the year. So hopefully we see both of those guys mid-season as a little boost to the offense. Switching over to the defense, 5 edge rushers: Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Kingsley Eningbauer, Brendan Cox Jr., and Baron Sorrell. 6 D linemen: Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, Colby Wood, Warren Brinson, and Nazir Stackhouse, extending the Packers' 21-year streak of keeping an undrafted free agent on the roster. Um, Colin Oliver is also on the PUP list. He'll miss the first 6 games as well. Linebacker: Edrin Cooper, Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, Tyron Hopper, and Nick Nyman. Nick Nyman, a 2021 6th-round pick from the Los Angeles Chargers, a primarily special teams player, which I think is very interesting that they both cut Christian Welch and Isaiah Simmons uh, to go out and sign Nick Nyman. Probably Neiman, honestly. But he signed with Houston.
Schneeman, Neiman, Nyman, Norman.
uh, Neiman signed with Houston this spring, but obviously didn't make the team. The Packers cut Micah Robinson to add him. He was their seventh round pick out of Tulane, the cornerback. So Robinson just must not have shown enough in camp to warrant his spot. Was the 53rd man. Found another special teamer they like more than him. Uh, he only missed 4 of the 68 games in his career, playing 1,298 snaps on special teams compared to 363 on defense. Um, Most of those defensive snaps came in 2023 when he started 3 games and the only 3 starts of his career. So he did lead the Chargers in tackles on special teams in 3 of his 4 seasons with the club. That's all from Packers Wire. But interesting pickup. I mean, they found their guy that they wanted on special teams at the linebacker position. So I can't say I'm surprised. I can't say I'm surprised at them cutting Micah Robinson either, because like we had talked about um, in our prediction pod, we didn't really see a whole lot of them throughout the preseason or anything on Twitter from camp videos or just chatter about him. So I was surprised he made it. Not surprised he was the first guy gone to add a different player.
Yeah, we'll see. I believe the waiver pickup of Neiman came after the initial run.
It did. He wasn't a waiver wire
S-
pickup. Like he,
Yes.
so yeah, it came after.
So we'll see if the Packers are able to keep Robinson on the practice squad.
Yeah, they did have to
Um,
drop somebody else, but yeah, they
that is true.
notably don't have a cornerback on the practice squad.
That is also true. I believe I don't know I don't know if it's known if where he got picked up. I remember seeing Matt Schneidman saying that Kalen King was expected to sign elsewhere, not to be on the practice squad for the Packers.
Yeah, let's talk about the rostered corners: Nate Hobbs, Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, Bull Melton, and Kamal Hayden. Um, like I had said earlier, they had cut Kalen King, Corey Ballantyne, and Tyron Herring. Um, Genuinely shocked at cutting Kalen King and Corey Ballantyne. I think Kamal Hayden had a good preseason. Like I think he was around. Um,
I
but
really cannot think of a preseason highlight.
I can't think of like a highlight per se, but I do remember like seeing him. I remember seeing Kalen King often. And I think like
Yes.
what people have uh I guess sort of reasoned out as to why he didn't make the team is that he really does just project as a slot corner, and that's just too redundant with the Packers' current like defensive makeup. Like Nate Hobbs kind of has that locked down just because like they'll have Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon on the outside, and Nate Hobbs will slide in the slot, and then
Yeah.
you have Javon Bullard who can play in the slot. You have Evan Williams who can play in the slot. Like I just think Kalen King was the odd man out in a position where he couldn't play outside. If he could have played outside, I think he makes a team easily, easily. But I think that just was the bigger issue with why they cut him is just that he couldn't play outside, which is honestly where they needed him. They don't need him inside.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the cornerback position outlook for this team is that they have a lot of slot guys. Like you mentioned, Hobbs. Hobbs is coming from there, bouncing out to the outside. But between him having the experience there, Keyshawn Nixon obviously that was what we were expecting of him last year before he got called up in to replace Jair Alexander essentially. Carrington Valentine is the only true like outside cornerback on this team.
Yeah,
And the fact that Bullard, Evan Williams works inside, like they have a lot of guys that can play that part of the game. It's anything that when we've looked at the archetype or profile of corners that we think that would work for the Packers, it's largely been outside. So yeah, it's I don't know. I think Matt Steinman actually even in his analysis of the 53 man roster Tuesday, so prior to the Nyman pickup, um, he was saying like Kalen King made splash plays. I mean, even in the last preseason game, he had a couple,
Yeah,
Memorable picks.
shot the gap on a screen to tackle a guy.
Hmm. Obviously, that was enough to keep his job. It's obviously it goes beyond just game action.
According to Pro Football Reference, it's Neiman.
Neiman.
Like
This is confusing.
like the fella from School of Rock. No, that's Schneebly. Never mind. That's Schneebly. My apologies. Anyways,
Ned Schneebly. Um, but yeah, that's where, despite having those splash plays of, as Matt Schneidman said, um, I have to stop doing that. It wasn't enough to keep him on the roster, and the influence of special teams. And not to denigrate Kamal Hayden, it's like I just don't remember him really standing out. But it's someone that they've had in the practice squad, and they must like him enough that one, he's going to serve a purpose on the special teams, but they must feel like he's developing enough where this isn't just a 53-man roster case. Like maybe he turns into something more. I don't know.
they also just might like him better than excuse me, better than they did Welcher Simmons on special teams. Like he seems to be a standout special teams player who played primarily there, and so it could have just come down to they didn't really care for Welch or Simmons, and said, you know what, we'll just take our chances elsewhere, and then went and got this guy, or depending on timing and process of it all, they could have been waiting till near the deadline to cut Welcher Simmons or both. Saw that Neiman got cut and said, "Great, we'll go pick him up if we can," and then
Yeah.
just figured it out that way. So, all in all, like not a huge deal when it comes to roster construction. Like I don't expect to be thinking about Nick Neiman at all during the season, but um, definitely interesting that the way that they made up the roster means they added a linebacker versus a corner, considering they're kind of short at that position. But they did keep five safeties as well: Xavier McKinney, Javon Bullard, Evan Williams, Zane Anderson, and Keaton Oladapo. And so I just wonder um, if they're gonna, I guess, make a corner in the aggregate essentially for like outside corner. Like, you know what I mean? Like they'll have guys bump outside if need be, or play safety sort of hedging over to, say, Keyshawn Nixon's side just for extra coverage if they need it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that is what we'll see. I mean, I don't exclusively see. It'll be. It's gonna be one of the most fascinating things about this defense in year two of Jeff Hafley is like, is Nate Hobbs exclusively the outside guy? Are we gonna see kind of the positional versatility that could happen on paper, or is at least capable of occurring with this team?
Right.
Does it look good? It might not look good, like if that is the case, but like it does kind of. It's just not gonna be a like what we are thinking of going into the year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or even when they hired Jeff Hafley to begin with.
Right. No, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Like, I think I'm very interested to see how the secondary performs week to week. Because, like you said, with Carrington Valentine being the only outside corner on the roster, it might look tough some weeks. Like, I'm really interested to see how they design coverages for like the best receivers in the league, the Terry McLaurins of the world, the Amon-Ra St. Browns of the world. Like they have Jamison Williams week one. That boy fast. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna need to get covered quite well, and we'll see if Carrington Valentine or Keyshawn Nixon are up to the task of doing so. But they don't have a stud at corner right now, and that's gonna be, I think, the biggest thing to look for this season. It's not like Kalen King was gonna be that stud, but at least you had options, right? Like I don't think there's ever a reality where Kamal Hayden or Kalen King are getting put in there in place of Keyshawn Nixon. Like I think they'd probably figure out other options first, but it's just you kind of just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And I guess Kalen King wasn't sticking out there outside.
Certainly not.
Um, Kicker Mark McNamee counts as the 91st man on the Packers roster. He is their international pathway player. He was signed to their practice squad as well. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Omar Brown misses the entire 25 season due to his uh, lung collapse that happened in Indianapolis. He was in the hospital for 6 days, I saw, which is pretty scary,
Gnarly.
pretty gnarly. So we're
Yeah.
glad he's okay. He said he's gonna learn the defense so well that he can teach it. So I would imagine he'll be back next training camp to really make an impact and see if he can make the team in 2026. Um, alrighty, a couple more things to chat about here. The practice squad players. This is the list of the Packers practice squatters. Wide receiver Will Shepard, offensive line Brant Banks, wide receiver Isaiah Nair, wide receiver McCole Hardman, defensive tackle James Esther, safety Jalen Simpson, kicker Mark McNamee that I just mentioned, uh, running back Israel Abanikanda, defensive end Deslin Alexandre, defensive end Arron Mosby, linebacker Christian Welch, linebacker Jamon Johnson, and safety Jonathan Baldwin. Uh, those were, I think, 11 or 13. I can't do quick math. Players
13.
13 that they had signed from their own roster cutdowns. They are reported to be adding quarterback Clayton Tune and offensive lineman Dalton Cooper to their practice squad as well. Those aren't officially official. They'll probably be on their way to Green Bay to do a physical and sign their contracts when they complete them. Um, I'm going to give too much thought to the practice squad QB. I am so good on Clayton Tune. Like, as far as quarterback reclamation projects go, I would have rather just had um, Taylor Elgersma or Sean Clifford. I think Sean Clifford stinks. I thought Taylor Elgersma played pretty well in like what is a rookie playing a relatively new sport as it pertains to like American football versus Canadian football because they are a little different. But I thought he was slinging it. I was very surprised that the Packers just passed on him. I can't believe that he was that bad that they couldn't have kept him on the practice squad for that reason, and then went and found a veteran should they had needed to back up Malik Willis, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was really honestly, I was kind of shocked. I mean, we talked about it where if I think I outright said on our last pod that I was like, do you keep Algersma to prevent him getting picked up elsewhere? They're like, no, we're just not going to carry more than two quarterbacks.
Right.
I just thought Algersma showed enough merit to like, there's something there.
I think there is too, which is I was really surprised that they didn't think so. Like
Did he get picked up by anybody?
I'm googling his name right now to see.
Okay. For anybody wondering what a Clayton Tune is, excuse me, he was originally born John Tune. I don't know where the John Tune, not John Coon.
He did not sign with anybody,
Hmm.
so maybe he tries to find a team in the NFL, or he's uh has the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have his rights in the CFL. So maybe we'll see him
That's
there.
right. Um, I will say, uh, in his lone start of his NFL career, I believe,
Yeah, against the Browns, he lost 27-0 and was like really really bad.
11 of 20 for 58 yards, lost a fumble,
Yeah. I think his passer
sacked
rating,
7 times.
yeah, his passer rating I think was like 20.
It was 20.8,
Yeah.
two picks.
Yeah.
There's no room but to go but up. Yeah, I mean that sounds like
I mean, yeah, but like he's also what a 3-year veteran, 4-year veteran,
this will be his third season, I believe, yes.
right? And so it's like
He's 26.
I I I think we kind of know what Clayton Tune is the same way we know what uh the same way we know what Sean Clifford was. So I don't know what. their ideas if they think they can somehow, some way make him into an okay quarterback. What I fear is that like he's the backup to Jordan Love next year when Blake Willis ultimately most likely gets signed away. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's just I just don't know if I'm too comfortable with that. And again, this is um entirely a too much time for Clayton Tune.
Yeah.
It just is. Um
Yeah.
so the other one or the other like practice squad thoughts I have, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few of these guys called up week one. Like
Yes.
Savion Williams, if he's hurt still and can't return kicks, I would not be surprised to see McCole Hardman brought up week one to return punts and kicks.
Yeah.
Um, I think Baron Sorrell is still nursing his injury. Hopefully he's back for week one, but I would be surprised to see Arron Mosby or Deslin Alexandre called up if he's missing time.
Yeah.
Um, but those are just a couple of thoughts I had there. I don't think we'll see Will Shepherd or Isaiah Nair called up unless things get really bad. Um, but I just saw some Packers news that nothing breaking, but like that I didn't know.
Ricky Scoops.
No, not Reggie Scoops. This is per Jason Wieldy. Jaden Reed's injury is a Jones fracture and will most likely be a factor this season. He did practice today though. From what I understand medically, I am not a
Jones
doctor.
fracture is not great.
No, they're
Not
not.
great.
No, they're not good. They're
Kevin
not good.
Durant's putting my NBA hat on. Kevin Durant's like first uh real injury. This is like the 2014-15 season was derailed by a Jones fracture. And I
Uh,
believe he tried to come back from it early and then got hurt worse.
Googling it. Ouchie.
Yeah.
It's a fracture of your pinky toe bone, like in the middle of your foot where the bones meet like the bigger ankle bones.
Yeah.
Uh, ow, ow. I don't know how you play with that. Like,
Well, that's a season changer.
yeah, I don't necessarily love that, and I also like don't quite understand.
How is this not bigger news?
Yeah, one, how is it not bigger news? Two, it also makes me question why they only kept six receivers. Like
Well, maybe we see someone elevated too.
maybe honestly they get 9 games out of these receivers. Like they call up McCole Hardman 3 times. They call up Isaiah Nair 3 times. They call up Will Shepherd 3 times. And just try and get to the middle of the season. But like Jordan, a wide receiver uses his feet to plant and cut. I
Yeah.
don't know how that's supposed to work. And like
Yeah.
if it was if it was like your big toe or something, like your first metatarsal essentially, I'd be less concerned. But if you think about like how you shift direction, if you're cutting, all of your weight is going on your pinky toe, like on
Yeah.
that outside part of your foot. God
So yeah,
damn it.
yeah, that's terrible. That should be bigger news than what it is
Yeah,
currently as we record.
yeah.
Um,
How is this not being like more talked about?
Brother, yeah, that's not great. That is very, I mean, it makes sense why they've been holding him out and trying to make, whatever reasons there might be. But uh, I feel bad for anybody that has taken Jaden Reed in a fantasy football draft because I don't know how much we see of him this year. I don't know how productive he'll be if he plays and how much he plays.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, it's not great. It's not great.
Not again. Also, like, what the hell is going on with Dontavia Wicks?
Still his calf, right? I think it was a
I
calf
believe
issue.
so.
Yeah.
But I did. He hasn't. How much? I don't remember him practicing them much at all.
In this picture from uh, Packers Access, the Clayton fella on Twitter. He's in the picture. Not sure if he's practicing, but he's in
What
the
does that
picture.
mean?
Uh
Oh, like from practice
from
today?
practice, he's in the picture
Gotcha.
with his helmet on, with a jersey on. He has sweatpants on, and like Jane Reed has shorts on, but then other guys have sweatpants on. So who knows?
Fit talk.
Yeah, fit talk. I didn't see anything about like Wicks missing practice or anything. I can try and scroll through quick, but um, just generally interested in seeing how that develops too, because like who knows? But yeah, they need some wide receivers to be healthy, and if not, like hopefully we see a lot of Matthew Golden, but I don't love the Jaden Reed
I
news.
think I'm just gonna outright say it now.
Go ahead.
I think the wide receiver room is totally contingent on Matthew Golden.
You hate to put that pressure on him, but it kind of feels that way, don't it?
It kind of already felt that way, and now Watson is on the pup.
6 weeks, yeah,
Romeo Dobbs
healthy
healthy.
in trade rumors.
Yeah. Dontavian Wicks setback, trying to get back from Chad Reed, this Jones fracture just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Not nowhere, but like knowing that what the source of it is now.
yeah,
Malik Heath
good
just made
player.
the team.
Yeah,
Savion Williams hurt.
concussion. Yeah, it's
It's
not.
a mash. It's
It's
a
not.
mash unit.
It is a mash unit, and like part of that is like, hopefully you can tread water. And I will say this: I forget we talked about this on the prediction pod, or if we've touched on it more recently. The silver lining with these wide receiver injuries is, say Jaden Reed is out for X amount of weeks, like just he's week to week essentially, like testing his foot.
Yeah.
Dontavian Wicks is there, or maybe he isn't taking the stuff they want to. That leaves like Matthew Golden, Romeo Dobbs, and the point of I'm making, Tucker Craft. Like I think the wide receiver injuries with Christian Watson being out already, and just the state of the mash unit that is the wide receiver room, it kind of forces Matt LaFleur's hand to make good on the assertion that they need to put Tucker Craft into the offense more. Because they talked about that like during the offseason, like right after the season ended, then kind of towards the combine interviews and such, that they need to have Tucker Craft more involved in the offense. I think with a healthy wide receiver room, that's harder to do. Like if Jaden Reed's healthy and producing, and if Tonti is healthy and producing, if Matthew Golden is breaking out as a rookie, like that's, and like Josh Jacobs still needs touches. That's, it's just harder to get Tucker Craft mixed in to have that super breakout year that we want him to have this year, because we think he can be a top five tight end in the league, which I think we both think he can. But in order to do that, you need to be involved in the offense at a good regular cadence. And I think this is going to force the Packers to do that, because he's one of their best pass catchers, and, and he's healthy. So maybe we see more Luke Musgrave now that he's healthy too, and maybe he has a good year and like a good start to the year, and we finally see like that two tight end set that we kind of were imagining what they were working toward when they drafted Tucker Craft and Luke Musgrave. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see who's catching the balls from Jordan Love come week one, because I think if you had to like ask me to give targets for week one, I think it's probably gonna be like Romeo, Golden, and Kraft in no particular order.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for this offense, I mean, it's funny listening to like NFL podcasts and all them. We're in the swing of things. We're getting ready for the season. We're getting ready for fantasy. And a lot of people, when they talk about the Packers offense, they throw out the top 10 offense from last year. And there's so like, yes, yes. But it certainly wasn't that by the end of the year. Like there that kind of moniker is a lot of smoke and mirrors with the Packers offense. So not having Christian Watson, who knows what is going to go. Like I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, but like it's not great what's going on with Jaden Reed. At the very minimum, like I don't think they're not gonna overextend him to the point of risking further injury and just like calling his season a wash.
Right.
Especially, I mean, there's another wide receiver in that room that could be like, hey, you haven't really done a good job of taking care of wide receivers who have injuries throughout the year.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think like for the offense and what it will look like they don't. Matthew Golden's the only guy that really stretches the field.
Yeah, outside of Christian Watson, but he's obviously hurt.
Yeah, and that's where it's like it's gonna be really tough. I mean, Dontavian Wicks certainly gets can do that, but his health is, there's just a lot of caveats with all these wide receiver, pretty much every wide receiver.
Yep.
Like we're pinning the hopes on Matthew Golden to kind of be this, part of the pun, but Golden Boy. But it's like how much can you do that with a rookie? Legitimately,
Right. No,
as good as he profiles to be.
no, 100%. Like it's you should never have to ask a rookie to come in and have to be the guy, especially from a guy that wasn't like the top receiver in his class. Maybe the Packers thought he was, but like he should have those expectations. Like just especially with a team that already has receivers. It's different for Tedero McMillan in Carolina when it's him, Xavier Legette, and I think I'll just other guys. Right? They traded Adam Thielen, so I couldn't tell you a third receiver there. I think Jalen Coker is a receiver,
Yes.
but like Xavier Legette was the 32nd overall pick, I think, or 33rd last year.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't tell you what round Jalen Coker was drafted in, but like Ted McMillan is coming
Uh,
in to be the guy, and that was
yeah.
that was the expectation when they drafted him in the top 10. The
That's
rest,
also, I mean, it's a different program too. Like the
right?
Panthers, we're not talking about a team that had Super Bowl expectations.
No, exactly. And so like part of that for me too is like
Jalen Coker was undrafted, by the way,
Jesus Christ.
to add to your point.
To add to my point. But like what do you do when you already have a room? Like I think the ideal situation for Matthew Golden and the receiver room this year was that they come in healthy, Jaden Reed, Wicks, Dobbs, etc. And Matthew Golden is thrust into like the wide receiver 2 or 3 position to be a guy that can break off some big chunk plays because other guys are focused on Reed, Wicks, and Romeo. Now, instead of getting cornerback 2 or 3, he's probably gonna get cornerback 1 if the injuries sustain the way they are. Maybe Romeo gets it, who knows? But regardless of all that, like it's just I think Matthew Golden's gonna pop. I really do. But I also think that it could be a bit tough sometimes just because of the state of the receiver room and the fact that he doesn't have other guys taking pressure away from him.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was a little impromptu crisis that we had to talk about regarding excuse
We'll
me, regarding Jaden Reed's health. So
we'll talk plenty about it in the season to come, I'm guessing.
yeah, hopefully not, but I think we're going to. So alrighty. Um, anything else from you, Jordan? As we wrap this up?
No, I think we touched on kind of the bigger.
Oh, I know what we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about the Tuesday night to Wednesday morning fiasco that was Micah Parsons being traded to the Packers. Uh, I don't want to give too much time to it because it was basically a hearsay night on Twitter. I will say, I think that the old adage of where there's smoke, there's fire is true. But I will say that I wholly do not expect the Micah Parsons to be a Packer. I want it to be true from the bottom of my heart. I really do. I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think Jerry Jones wants to do that. If I were a betting man, I would imagine David Malgetta is leveraging the Packers' need for an edge rusher um, against the Cowboys' need to pay Micah Parsons a contract, or their fans will riot. That's kind of how I see it. Ricky Scoops, the dog on Twitter. I don't think David Malgetta is his source per se, but I would imagine that if I'm David Malgetta and I'm trying to get my top edge rusher in the league agent or client the most money, I'm stirring the pot as much as I can because he deserves like whether or not he deserves Myles Garrett money. You guys can argue about it. I'm not going to argue about it, but like he deserves a lot of money, and I'm sure Jerry Jones doesn't want to pay that amount of money because he had a deal in place with Micah Parsons outside of David Mulligetta's representation and recommendation. So I'm sure it came in a lot less than that, but that's why owners are not allowed to directly negotiate with players. So, any thoughts on the hubbubaloo, Jordan?
America's team, the gambler and his Cowboys. Um, I just think it's more of a indictment of the state of the world and how we get information. Is that
I mean, yeah,
it's an account on a notoriously trustworthy website called X.com. Um, it really was John Kuhn saying Micah freaking Parsons that put it over the edge of like, this is this real? Or, yeah, I mean,
extremely irresponsible thing to do for a person that works for the team.
I
Like,
agree.
it's Twitter and it's trolling. Like, it's not nothing's that serious. But he works for the team.
Yeah,
Like, he knows what he was doing. It's like I said, irresponsible.
I agree. Um, I don't know. I don't think Micah Parsons. I was even as I was kind of trying to look away from it all. I was certainly there was probably an hour that I was like on the computer longer than I needed to be. But I just don't. One, I don't see Dallas's reason for it. Frankly, I don't even. I think Packers are not. I think they would do that deal, but they're not a team that would just have it come out of what, less than 10 days to the start of the season.
I mean, you get him when you get him, kind of
He's
thing.
a player. He's a player that would is totally worth doing
Right.
that kind of shakeup.
Um, but I think if I were to guess, the biggest hang up on this is the contract that they would like probably have to pay him. I'm sure for Goody, it's like, oh, I don't want to give up 2 first round picks. I love my picks, but at the same time, it's like they have to pay that dude like $40 billion a year. That's
Well, and it's not even. This is the other thing too. Is we're
they
in a new era. It's ed policy.
right. Maybe he wants to make a
So
splash. I'm sure he's fine making it work, and Russ Ball will figure out the money. But it's like,
how things are kind of doled out for under ed policy is different. I mean, I know Matt Schneidman was on Pat McAfee
yeah,
today, and he was talking about how Goody and LaFleur have to earn it. You know, they both have 2 years remaining on their contract, and he's not just going to give him an extension without kind of showing that.
he also said he doesn't want them in a lame duck year.
So this it makes the season very important. That's where this is probably the most interesting way to frame shaking up the roster with that in mind. Because as good as Micah Parsons is, you only have to look at a team 2 hours south of Green Bay that made a massive trade on the eve of a training camp very recently. And just remember how that worked out. Remember how they had to wave and stretch him 20 months later.
Yeah,
Not that I'm saying that that would happen with Micah Parsons, but like
For what it's worth,
There's
that team to ourselves was pretty good for a couple years before they had the wave and stretch them.
yeah,
And I
they
think
were pretty good.
and I think the Packers are better than they were then. Now,
I agree. I agree. But I do think it's we would be salivating at the thought of having Micah Parsons.
oh,
But it,
I did all last night.
yeah,
That's all I did. I just imagined how cool it'd be.
very cool.
So,
It's also something that I can't even think of the. I think did we talk about this on pod or off mic? Of like
uh, I forget, but yeah, I think we did talk about this.
the
If it
biggest
was
Packers trade
probably
in
ever.
the history. Yeah, like it was more. Oh, it was definitely around like the Myles Garrett talk.
Yeah.
It was like Brett Favre is obviously the biggest trade in Packers history, you know, but it was
In retrospect.
yes, it's more of like in the moment, this player is so good, and the Packers are acquiring him.
Yeah.
There really is not a.
There's not a
It's
not even close.
it would be something that probably helped like a Super Bowl winning team, but it's not. It's more of like this guy had it going this year and turned into something greater. But
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Micah Parsons, like an all-pro level player.
Yeah. Really good player in his prime too. So,
Yeah.
all right, folks, that does it for this episode of Talk the Tundra. Uh, I hope the next time you hear from us, we are doing an emergency pod on the newly minted Packers edge rusher Micah Parsons. If that isn't the case, we will talk to you soon for some Packers and NFL prediction pods ahead of the season, and then a week from today, as you're listening to this, yeah, if today's listening to this, we'll have the preview for week one for Lions and Packers as we kick off the season from the NFL as you're listening to this a week from today. So thank you all for listening. Go check out gspn.info for all things Eurostep Podcast Network, Bucks, Brewers, Packers, etc. Go if you're listening, go subscribe to the YouTube. Talk with Tundra on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Would appreciate it. But other than that, we'll talk to you guys soon. And Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.